Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video.
Wife had been flirting with her coworker. She said she would stop, but it just happened again. Is there any future in this relationship? My wife and I have been married for a little over 3 years. Last Christmas, I discovered she had been having a lengthy discussion with a colleague in which they discussed having numerous times and how they couldn't wait for the next one. The man said that he planned to reserve a hotel near their business shortly after Christmas. When he mentioned he was looking forward to seeing my wife, she would respond with comments like, "I'm looking forward to much more than just seeing you," and so on. You get the picture, excessively flirtatious. When I approached my wife, she denied having had the chat. She showed me her phone after she deleted it to verify it didn't exist. But I had taken a few photographs. She then claimed that everything was virtual and that they never did anything bodily. To illustrate her point, she messaged her colleague in front of me and asked whether he had booked the hotel, to which he answered, "Not yet." She then questioned whether he was sure they were going to meet, to which he answered no. She vowed they would never speak again, and I agreed because I loved her and wanted to believe her, but I wasn't fully certain she had been truthful. I must confess that I checked her phones much too often for a few weeks, so she changed her password, which I was all right with since I was probably being too worried. I picked up her phone this week because I required a code that had been provided to her phone number. I didn't even have to unlock the screen to access it. Surprisingly, there were further messages from the same individual behind the message with the code. One was an audio, the second was a shirtless picture of himself in front of a mirror, and the third was sweaty with a few tongue emojis. I questioned her since she had promised they wouldn't communicate again, and she said that he only wanted to show her that he's going to the gym to demonstrate improvement. But the majority of the time they chat, it's about work, and this is simply a coincidence. I begged her to show me the remainder of their texts, but she stated she had wiped their chat history by accident. My wife claims she'll change this time and that I never really forgiven her, which is why she continued talking to the man. She swears she's going to quit this time, but I'm not sure I believe her. Even if she does stop, I'm afraid she'll do it again when things aren't going so well between us. I adore her, but I can't keep living like this. Is there any case where this might work? What would your reaction be? Update. My brain just couldn't cope with the disaster and collapse of the universe I had created for myself, in which my wife is my love, best friend and companion, and the person I most respect. She was flawless, and she made me happy for many years. I believe that no other couple in the world could have what we had. For a long period, we were both overjoyed. We were both gorgeous, innately decent, had enormous hearts, and were both tremendously successful in our vocations. After the Reddit post, I relocated to an Airbnb and then to my family's house to consider things through. It was a dreadful moment, yet a psychologist assisted me in recovering from a bad mental condition. It happened at the same time as the pandemic struck my city hard. I received the virus, which didn't help. During this time, we continued to converse, and my wife apologized profusely and said that they had not met. I knew it wasn't real, but I was prepared to forgive the lady of my dreams, who remained at my universe's highest altar. Fast forward to last Saturday morning, when I returned to our apartment, determined to forgive her and work things out in the most adult manner imaginable. And well, there she was, but I was the one who was taken aback, to say the least. My wife and the man were both nude in my home. The man in the texts, the one in the photos. She said she didn't even enjoy it. He was hidden in my bathroom as my wife was putting on her pajamas. When I saw him hiding in my restroom, he apologized, "Sorry, buddy." For a split second, I wondered, is this where I'm going to murder him? But I immediately said, I have nothing against you, since the guy was really crushing on this lovely lady. Even if he was doing it in a home full of my photos, photographs from our wedding and our family, images of my deceased father, who would be heartbroken to see how the marriage he never saw would end. He has always been the driving force behind my efforts to make the world a better place. 2 months before our wedding, he died away. I apologize. I still adore her to the moon and back. But I've come to realize that enough is enough. Even if my universe falls apart, I hope I can rebuild a new one that isn't based on falsehoods and in which I'm not simply a blind believer worshipping a fictitious deity. Story 2. Wife cheated on me, both 23, no idea what to do or how to feel. So my wife and I have been together for 8 years, married for 4, and have 2 children, daughter 4, son 3. We got pregnant when we were young and married when we were young, and I believed we were a happy married couple until lately. We've had disagreements in the past, but I always felt like we'd worked things out since we both seemed to be happy again. But over the past 6-8 months, she has informed me that she is feeling detached from me and that I'm not being emotionally honest with her. So we chat more, and I felt like I was being absolutely honest, but she's just a lot more passionate person, while I'm maybe more introverted. She reunited with an old acquaintance around 2-3 months ago, and I was relieved that she appeared pleased since she had someone other than me to speak to. Around the same time, I started a new work after losing my previous one owing to my previous firm going bankrupt and us experiencing financial troubles. The new work was night shift, and the hours were long, typically from 3 a.m. to 12 p.m., so I was exhausted when I got home. My wife was moaning that I was home more, but I wasn't since I was constantly sleeping, so I stopped napping during the day, which was from 1 to 3 when the kids slept, and forced myself to stay up until midnight to spend time with her. It was difficult, but I hoped she could see that I was making an effort to spend time with her and connect with her. When I asked her about it the week before Christmas, she said she didn't want to spoil Christmas, but I sensed something was amiss, so I sat her down and pushed her, and she told me she was having emotions for this friend. I was devastated, but I didn't want to shut him out of her life. I reasoned that if they were only feelings, she'd recognize that she still loved me as much as I loved her, and she'd be able to cope with her emotions. She confessed to loving him as much as she loved me 2 days after Christmas, which stung like hell, but I still thought she realized that I was still there for her, and when she said she needed time to figure out how she felt, I gave her time. Only 2 days later, I indicated I'd be okay with him coming over to watch movies, with the intention of going to the movies with the kids when I got home. So I went to bed about 12 a.m., woke up around 2 a.m. to go to work, and when I left, they were still up watching movies. Because work was running late, they brought the kids to the movies without me, which was unfortunate, but I didn't want the kids to miss out. When I arrived home, they were still gone, so I cleaned the house and then played some Fallout 4 while I waited. When they finally arrived home, he drove away immediately, and my wife was noticeably angry. After about an hour of chatting and trying to make her feel better, she disclosed that she had with her buddy after I went for work. That it barely lasted a minute, that they couldn't complete, because they were both embarrassed by the thought of me, but that it still occurred. I was crushed, my heart was destroyed, and I wept for hours like a B*TCH. She said that although she loved me, she wasn't in love with me anymore and hadn't been in a long time. We attempted to make it work for the next week, but I feel like I've fallen out of love with her, only for her to declare that she's still at least a bit in love with me. We've been sleeping in separate rooms for the time being, but it's so complicated that I'm having trouble dealing. I want to remain so I can see my kids, but I can't bear the continual back and forth between wanting to be friends and screaming and shouting. Any help or insight into the problem would be highly welcomed. Please accept my apologies for the lengthy message.